I've got Erik Qualman here, and his latest book is How to Sell on LinkedIn. I've interviewed Erik a couple of times before. I think I did a big group batch with you with like Lon Safko and oh geez, a whole bunch of other guys.
Jamie Turner,
Dave
Andrea
Turpin, all those
Vail.
guys, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
So
that's great.
yeah, so anyways, I was looking at your profile the other day. We're connected on LinkedIn. Saw that you had this new book out, and just thought I'd interview you. So I think the first question I'm going to ask you is, what do you think of LinkedIn's new interface?
No, I think they're moving forward, right? I think there's stuff that I like about it, stuff I don't like about it. So nothing new, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Snapchat, whether it's Instagram. When they change the interface, obviously it's a big adjustment for most people. I'm still playing around with it, but I think they'll probably find the right spot. They'll probably get their feedback and adjust stuff that's not working correctly. But overall, I think it's good. It'll open it up. It's a little cleaner for most people to understand. And you got to understand that LinkedIn's fairly old. So when Microsoft purchased them, it was probably already in the works to do this rehaul and clean things up. So hopefully it just gets more people involved and it's easier to engage. I think that's what they're trying to get to is how do I make it easier to connect with people? And that's what their whole impetus has been behind this.
Yeah, I like the point that hopefully they'll fix some of the things. There's a few things. Mine just switched over last night, but I've been managing a couple other people's LinkedIn accounts, and I found some stuff that.
Is there anything that they're struggling with that you've seen?
Not really. There's the one thing I'll tell you the one thing I don't like, and it's on the people's accounts that I manage and also mine, is that the advanced search functionality. Really, what they've done is they've stripped some of the stuff out, and they've moved it over to Sales Navigator. So really, what they're trying to do is move people towards Sales Navigator, right? So which is the paid for account. That's my personal belief. And you know what? I just haven't had enough time to play around with it to understand really what it's going to be and where it's going to go and stuff like that. So we'll see where it goes. Hopefully it'll clean it up. But I guess the other thing you look at is, about a year and a half ago, it was like 55% of all their traffic was coming through mobile. It's probably closer to 70% now. So they're trying to mirror more what's with their mobile app as opposed to having two different kind of looking platforms. Is my take on it as well. So that's one of the things. So let me ask you too. If I'm assuming you probably have a premium account. Should people go the premium account or not? What's your take on that?
Well, in the book that I wrote here, it's 30 tips in 30 days on how to sell on LinkedIn, is I stress that you don't really need to use that. Go down the path as much as you can with the free account, and 90% of us will get away with that, and it'll be fine. Other people that I talked to, interesting enough, and we'll have to see what these changes have, but they even said to buy the HR account, the one that's not for salespeople, because it's less expensive and actually gives you more access, surprisingly. But again, LinkedIn's probably trying to clean that up for the sales side because that's where their money's going to come from.
Yep.
But the short answer is, I stress to all of your listeners, go as deep as you can without premium. You'll probably 90% of you, that'll be just fine.
Yeah. It's I kind of say the same thing. If you can get by with using the free account, go for it. So, hey, one of the things that I think is important for people is their profile. I kind of call it their billboard. And you got some great tips in your book. But what are a couple of good tips for people for building out a half decent profile?
We'll start with the basics. You definitely need a picture. Most people are getting that. I still come across a lot of people that have done very well professionally that do not have a photo. So you need a photo, and then most of us have a photo, but what you need to do is make sure you've got a friend that can professionally shoot it or pay to have someone do it. It's not very expensive, but most of us have a friend that has a good camera and knows what they're doing. So go and have a professional photo taken. Some research was done by Guy Kawasaki that your photo's a little more interesting if you're not completely centered in the picture. So if you're a little bit off center, it actually makes it more appealing. Now, LinkedIn on some of the new interfaces has gone to circles for the images, so we'll have to dig into what that means. Does that mean you have to kind of have your picture centered? But the bottom line is get a professionally done picture. What that means is if you can have the background blurred out, and again, if you have any of these cameras, even the new iPhone can do that. So you're in focus, the background's blurred, it should only be you, and figure out what you want to be. What is your brand? What's your personal brand? So before going into that photo shoot, be intentional. What is your overall brand? For me, it just so happens that I have bright green glasses. For someone else, it might be, I'm going to be serious. So obviously you take a serious picture. For others, it's, I'm lighthearted. I'm a lighthearted person. That's my strength. So whatever your strength is, figure out what your personal brand's going to be. And then when you take that photo, make sure that happens.
Yeah, I think the other thing, the big thing about the photo is I think you reference it I think you reference it in the book, but I think you get like 15 times more views if you have a photo, and it's mind blowing to me that there's a lot of people who don't put photos up, they don't pay any attention to it, right? So it's you're doing yourself a disservice as well, I guess, if you're not doing that. So one of the questions obviously I put some questions for you beforehand, but how would someone go about finding a good prospect on LinkedIn? I get asked that question all the time. How do I use LinkedIn to find prospects? You got any tips or tricks on that?
Yeah, the easiest way is to find them through people you're already connected with. And so you've got to make a decision. Are you going to accept all your requests? Are you going to be very, very selective on who you allow into your LinkedIn group? Or are you kind of more in the middle ground? So decide what you're going to do with that strategy. Everyone's got their own personal preference on how that works. For me, I'm pretty wide open. I do check things out and go, this guy seems shady, so I'm not going to accept that. But for most people, I'll accept them. The downside of that is my network's not as strong per se, because I don't necessarily know everyone really well in the network, but also it opens up so many more prospects for me because of the connections. So I would start first with your current network, and you've probably got some clients and prospects already in your current network. And LinkedIn does a nice job is they'll put up on the right-hand rail is, hey, here's some people that are similar to these folks or that are connected to these folks. And that's the easiest way that I find additional prospects, so that if I'm connected with, say, the head of sales at Disney that we do animation for, all of a sudden it suggests up here, oh, here's the head of sales at Terminex. Here's the head of sales at Pixar. Mm-hmm. Here's the head of sales at ADP, down the line. So that's the easiest way to start. If you want to get more technical, then go up into the search bar at the top, and then you can hit the little search magnifying glass there. It'll allow you to go into more of advanced search capabilities. And then you can put in the name of the position that you normally would have a prospect for. And then you can drill down from there. It lets you do specific targeting, geographic, company. So it really helps you get down to that level. So, but I always say start with your connections. You probably have more than you're ever going to need through your connections.
Exactly. I often tell people just take a look at those second level connections, see if you can get introductions. It's that's how I've grown my software company to a multi-million-dollar pipeline of business. So it's I agree 100% on that. One of the other things I get asked a lot is, what's a good way to connect with someone on LinkedIn? How should they reach out? What any tips on that?
Number one tip: put yourself in their shoes. Why would I care that you reach out to me? So there's a couple things you got to be careful of on the mobile app on LinkedIn and other parts on LinkedIn. If you just hit the connect button, it'll just send a generic connection. So LinkedIn sort of makes it hard on you. The easiest way to do it is actually go to that person's profile and then hit the connect button. And most of the time that'll pop up the ability to add a note to your connection reference. So you can say, here's my invite, and then why should I connect with you? So then you put just a quick sentence. Don't write a long area, but hey, I met you at this conference and blah, blah, blah. Or I had lunch with Terry and Tim, and both of them recommended that I connect with you. This is why. And then indicate why, like what's in it for them. So always put yourself in their shoes and go, okay, if I receive this, why would I connect with that person?
Excellent. I'll tell you, there's a couple more questions here. I think one of the things that I love about LinkedIn is the recommendations. Why, you go into it in your book. Why are recommendations important?
Well, so there's two things in LinkedIn. You have recommendations, and then you also have endorsements. So recommendations is someone took a decent amount of time to actually write a recommendation. It's like traditional recommendation that you'd get from your boss up here. And so those are gold. The more you have of those, they're harder to get. They really are good because just like when you go to Yelp for a restaurant, same thing, more and more, I'm going to go check out your digital reputation, your personal brand. More times than not, probably 95% of us, that starting point's on LinkedIn, because that's what's going to pop up number one for most people when you do a search on Google. And so it's important to have those recommendations, because it's like, oh, there's 5 people that recommend them. And, oh, great, she was recommended by this person that I know. Okay, now I've got a sense of who this person's all about. Now, endorsements, what those are is people endorse you for certain skills. It might be marketing, it might be sales, it might be finance. and they'll endorse you for those skills. Those are easy to get because it's just a click of a button for someone to endorse you.
Yep.
The easiest way for you to grow your own personal endorsements is actually to endorse other people. And it also makes you feel good. So we go into the neuroscience in the book that if you endorse someone else, it actually makes you feel good. Only endorse them if they really have that skill, but endorse them. And then what you'll find is that more times than not, they'll actually endorse you back for a skill that you have.
Exactly. Good old law of reciprocity, I think, in action there. Last one I got for you. I'm going to lob an easy one at you. Why should people take their relationship from LinkedIn to in person?
You can't replace face-to-face. I'm a digital guy, but you cannot replace face-to-face. There's even science. There's oxytocin transfer, those good chemicals in our body. If we give someone a handshake, we're more likely to remember their name. That's why one of the reasons that we shake hands is because I think it's 6 times more likely to remember someone's name if you shake their hand. And so you can't replace that time. It's invaluable. And so it's always a combination. These tools like LinkedIn are not designed to replace face-to-face. They're there to augment it when time and distance are an issue. So I implore everyone that's listening to network before you need your network. So I always tell people, post it forward. That's like endorsing people. That's sending people a note. Hey, I saw this article and thought of you. Or it's a shout out on LinkedIn. Here's 3 people I respect in the XYZ industry and why. And that's what you do. You network before you need your network, and then make sure that you're having those coffees and those lunches because you can't replace them.
Absolutely. Tell you what, Erik, you know what? Your book is How to Sell on LinkedIn, 30 Tips in 30 Days. First of all, where can people find the book?
The easiest way to find it's on Amazon. And if you need to know anything else about us, you can also buy it at equalman.com. So it sounds like a superhero, but it's just my first initial last name. It's equalman.com, and you can get all the books there, or you can get all the books on Amazon in the United States and also in Canada.
Excellent. And also, how can people find out more about you? Just go to equalman.com.
More about me at equalman.com. We're starting to film a lot of live video and where I'm traveling to. Hoping to hit 50 countries this year. And so If you go to my YouTube channel at Equalman, which is youtube.com/Equalman, then you can see what we're up to.
Cool. Well, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate your time here today, Erik, and thanks a lot. And just a note on this: it's it's a great book. I love the read. It's a very quick read, and lots of valuable information in the book. So greatly appreciate it, and I look forward to your next one, I guess. So there we go.
Sounds great. Thank you.